Hi friends, welcome to this latest episode of the Nationalist View, and today it's a very special episode because for the first time we have with us Mr. Aminul Haque Polash. Mr. Polash is a diplomat, a former intelligence officer of Bangladesh, and he is currently in exile because he'll tell himself why he was in exile and his journey. He'll take us through the hidden power structures in Bangladesh. He will also tell us basically, certain facts, significant facts about the so-called Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, who is currently ruling in Bangladesh. So, Mr. Polash is speaking to us from an undisclosed location. And so, Mr. Polash, thank you so much for, coming out and taking this opportunity to talk to us. And welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dada. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with the wider audience. The truth has been buried for long, now needs to be come out.
So first, tell our viewers how you ended up in exile, despite being a diplomat, a former intelligence officer. You were an intelligence officer, and then you basically end up in exile. So how did this happen?
Before we begin this interview, I need to tell you about something that happened just 2 days ago. It's not just a story, it's a warning. It's the reality of today's Bangladesh under Yunus. The boy's name was Mumin Khan Shakil, a Chhatra League activist from Tangail. After August 5, even though there was no case against him, he was forced to flee his home out of fear from constant police harassment. He came to Dhaka, took up a small job just to survive, trying to meet his end mates. Yet even while struggling of his own survival, he continued to take part in Awami League programs opposing Yunus' illegal regime. On November 30, after joining one such procession in Diabari, he simply disappeared. 2 days later, his brutally mutilated body was recovered from the Turag River. This is the face of Bangladesh under Yunus' leadership. For the last 16 months, using every instrument of the state, a silent, systematic massacre has been carried out against Awami League leaders, activists, supporters, government officials. Those just speaking against Dr. Yunus' regime, they are facing this same sort of situation now in Bangladesh. People are being hunted by law, but not by law, but by fear, not by justice, but by vengeance. This is not governance, this is simply an persecution. So, in a short, as of today, this is the Yunus regime actually. So, now come back to about myself. Actually, I never pictured myself sitting in another country talking about the collapse of the institution I once served. I spent nearly a decade inside national security and foreign services. My work was very simple in principle: follow the evidence, protect the state, protect the people. But the moment my investigation started touching the financial arteries of Yunus network, back in my intelligence days, everything actually shifted. People inside the system began warning me quietly that I had stepped in an area no one has supposed to touch. When Yunus-led interim took power in an unconstitutional way, the pressure around me tightened instantly. Intelligence colleagues told me my name was circulating in the rooms where dangerous decisions had been taken. Words like neutralize or make me disappear were being thrown around. And these were not ideal threats. My family was included in the danger. Then came the abrupt recall from my diplomatic post in India. That single action told me exactly what was coming next. Going back home would not have been like walking into a death sentence. Exile was not a choice. It was the only way to protect my family, to stay alive enough to tell the truth they wanted buried.
So, you have also challenged these claims made by Yunus that he invented microcredit, on the basis of which he got this Nobel Prize also, and his claim to fame is this microcredit. And you have basically challenged. What's your comment on this? Has he invented microcredit? What did you find out in your investigation?
As you said, recently I have shared a document signed by Dr. Yunus himself. That paper that was actually like, if you just any other signed document that could be create some confusion, but it was signed by Dr. Yunus himself back in 1979. So that was all his statement. Like, so those papers rewrite actually the mythology. They showed that the Yunus did not invent microcredit. He absorbed it, rebranded it, and erased the actual creators from the story. The rural credit project in Jubra was not his personal idea. It was a Ford Foundation funded university project designed by young researchers like Shopon Adnan, H.I. Lutifi, Nasruddin. Yunus was supervising a completely different section at the time. Over the years, though, every one of these names disappeared from the history and the entire narrative became Yunus invented microcredit. If you want to understand the system he built later, this is where it begins. His first act was not a financial corruption, it was intellectual hijacking. Taking credit from some others built, that pattern never stopped till as of today.
Uh, Polashji, globally, Yunus is seen as a hero. But what did you see from the inside which contradicts that?
The world see him as a kind of saint. Bangladesh saw a structure built on capturing institution, moving public money into private vehicles, and ensuring that real accountability never follows the trial. That was shortly Yunus' entire empire based on. Grameen Bank, backed by donors and the government, created a fund called Social Advancement Fund. That money was quietly shifted into a private body called Grameen Kollan. From there, a web of nearly 50 entities emerged. Grameen Telecom, Grameen Fund, Grameen Shakti. There are at least 50 company has been formed by Dr. Yunus. People abroad think these bodies are operative. They are not. Every decision, every movement of money eventually leads back to one center of gravity. As of today, Grameen Telecom, the Dr. Yunus single-handedly control this institution that was supposed to be the and sister concern of Grameen Bank, and the Grameen Bank as well as its borrower, that means the landless people, should be the real owner of Grameen Telecom. But Dr. Yunus just changed every structure of this company, being the sole authority of this company. As of today, Grameen Telecom alone collected more than 1,500 crore, 15,000 crore taka. I'm telling again, Grameen Telecom, being the 34.2% shareholder of Grameenphone, that is the largest telecom company in Bangladesh, Grameen Telecom received more than 15,000 crore taka as of today. Meanwhile, workers legally owned a share of that money were denied it for years. Other entities conveniently showed losses, but somehow all the money stayed within the unified ecosystem he controlled. So basically, this 15,000 crore, that is the financial capacity of Dr. Yunus, and he basically built all other 50 company to siphon money from one company to another and get a control grip of these companies. This was not charity, it was engineering, corporate engineering, wrapped in the language of poverty alleviation. So if I summarize it in this way, Dr. Yunus get into the arena by telling that he will elevate poor people, he will remove poverty, but actually using this narrative, he built his own empire, which is now a multi-billion-dollar company, and the poor didn't get a I'm not telling that like just share, they don't get any share from out of it.
So there are two things, you have talked about, the center of gravity or the point of gravity where all the money was going. So when you followed the money, what shocked you the most? And how about, was there a massive tax evasion also?
Yeah, all right. So the interesting thing is that the precision, the scale, and the deliberate design behind it, the flow of money, I can tell. Take one example, Grameen Kollan, another company of Dr. Yunus, that was also built under Grameen Bank. So all the entity regarding Grameen, basically a sister concern of Grameen Bank. So like Grameen Kollan, he transferred 53.25 crore amount to Grameen Telecom for guaranteed dividends from Grameenphone. The deal alone produced more than 2,222 crore taka over the years. So that means he shifted 53 crore taka from Grameen Telecom Grameen Kalyan to Grameen Telecom. This 53 crore taka was basically Grameen Bank's money, and then by using this money, he actually brought share from Grameen Phone under Grameen Telecom's name. So it has all over the year it has generated more than 20,000 crore taka. But the people, the Grameen Bank, didn't get a simple like penny from out of it. And again, if you just look into his 437 crore settlement of workers, like profit sharing, the money entered in a special account almost immediately started flowing somewhere else into account of lawyers, union leaders, private accounts. It was only after Bangladesh Bank froze those accounts and the High Court flagged the transaction as dubious that the public even found out. So what I'm telling here that like Dr. Yunus basically as he got an huge amount of money under his sleeve, huge. So basically whenever anything comes up, he just literally buy them. Simple as it is. Like that same thing goes in like 437 crore profit sharing scandal. And you talk about like tax evasion, it is very interesting. Dr. Yunus don't want to pay taxes. Like it's in his DNA. I can tell you that like when he was appointed as managing director of Grameen Bank back in 1989, at that time he one condition was that he will not pay the tax. Grameen Bank will pay tax on behalf of him. So it was in DNA that he don't want to pay the taxes. So in 2015, basically the NBR, that is National Board of Revenue, he just analyzes Dr. Yunus's previous year tax file and found that he has not given taxes more than 15 crore taka. So simple. NBR authority, the tax authority instructed him to pay the taxes. Rather paying the taxes, he goes to the High Court. Dr. Yunus goes to the High Court to hold that decision, and this case ran up to 8 long years. Finally, in 2023, he paid the taxes. So basically, this is his structure. It's not only about his personal cases, for all of his company. I can tell that more than 20,000 crore are unpaid taxes under his company's name. The same theory, whenever the revenue board or NBR like instruct him or his companies to pay the taxes, he go to the court, file and read petition, file a reference application or something like that by the judges, try to buy the lawyers and just elongate the process. So in one sense, whenever he was instructed to pay the 15 crore taka, his personal tax in 2015, the money valuation of the value of money in 2015 is not same in 2023, right? So he just elongated the whole process until 2023, and finally he's gave that taxes. So basically, that's how he actually not only suppressed the poor people from their deprived the poor people, he also always like suppressed the government entity and other authorities.
So, Polashji, there have been accusations against Yunus about violation of the labor laws also. And it's pretty ironical, the guy who tries to be face of the poor and he doesn't, he has been facing accusations regarding violation of the labor laws. So, can you tell us a little more about that? What did you find out?
Yeah, it's really very interesting. And even when like the case was ongoing, we have seen that Western ideological peoples like who are just championing always for labor law, they have come forward to protect Dr. Yunus, who always like violate labor law in his companies. The irony is really painful. The man celebrated for empowering the poor would not follow basic labor law inside his own organization. His case was very simple. Grameen Telecom workers fought for years to receive their lawful benefits. Many were fired unjustly. 99 during pandemic alone. Like, see the structure of his company. Basically, he don't like to recruit people or the employees in a permanent basis in his companies, because what if you recruit a employee in a permanent position, the employer the employee gain some sort of like right over the company. They become the beneficiary of the profit sharing as well as like vacation and other stuff. So to get rid of this one, he just recruited employees in a short-term basis or contractual basis or zero-hour contract policy. So that was the core violation, so that he needed to share profit with the employees. That's why the case was filed against him, and this case was run in the company in the labor court for more than 2 years, and finally then the verdict came up. So this is another indication that like the government of Amili government was never vindictive to him. If Amili government was vindictive to him, then his labor court cases that was supposed to be settled in less than 1 year, as per the law, it was run more than 2 years. And as I said earlier, the tax cases that run in the court for more than 8 years. So basically, the state mechanism always try to follow the law, but Dr. Yunus always try to like escape the law by using the loopholes or by just simply buying times over the by any means.
And he plays the victim card too. That you know that he
And they say and victim cards always.
So this 437 crore taka no settlement that became a national scandal. So
Right.
what was behind that?
So it reveals the inner mechanism of the system. Like workers were told, you are finally getting your dividends. Okay. So money was deposited, and then behind the scene, a large chunk, 26 crore taka, moved into an union account. From there, almost the entire amount flowed into different private accounts of lawyers and union leaders. So it showed that like this settlement was out of the court settlement. Basically, Dr. Yunus was kindly forced to do the settlement because what like the employer was like fighting for their profit sharing for long 6 years. It was started in 2017 and 2023. They are still fighting for their profit share for government income employees. But as Dr. Yunus was not giving the share at any means, and he is like he was recruiting the lobbyist firm, he was recruiting the top-notch lawyer of our country so that he need to pay the share. So the employer finally just file a case to dissolve the company as the government telecom company. And then when Dr. Yunus found that like now the things are getting into a deeper situation, and then finally just he called the union leaders, okay, let's settle this down out of the court, you just pull out the court, you pull out the cases. That's how basically he influenced the union leaders as well as the lawyers of that the government telecom employees. So that's how actually, as I said earlier, that's how Yunus operate. Whenever he can't just use the law anymore, then his chunk amount of money just insert the system and try to buy anyone and everyone in the process.
So you have also, we've discussed this, and there is an issue of foreign remittances, which he received, which Yunus received, while being a part of the caretaker government in 2006 to 2008. So why it is? What is the significance of this foreign money, basically, which he received?
So the significance of this that like Dr. Yunus, his interest into politics is not new. He was always trying to get the country, like not now, from long. So if you can remember, during the caretaker government, 111 caretaker government backed by the military, at the time he formed a political party, like he formed a political party called Nagorik Shakti. So whenever we just deal with his company's paper, we found an interesting thing that like 2006 to 2008, this 3 year, Dr. Yunus received more than 50 crore foreign remittance under his bank account. So it's kind of unusual in that this is not like regular inflow of his remittances. He claimed that like he get foreign money by delivering lectures in the different countries, by from his book, by selling his books and some other stuff. That's how he get remittances. But that was significant that more than almost 50 crore taka was deposited under his account during this army-backed interim government, when he was trying to build his own political party. So this indication is that like Dr. Yunus is not now, he has been trying to get into Bangladesh for law, get into Bangladesh political arena for law, and he was always backed by foreigners, not Bangladeshi people. This money is their significance, this document, that like he was always backed by the foreign entity. I'm not like calling like deep states or I'm naming any countries, but he was always backed by foreign entities. who has vested interest over our country.
So, what has changed once he took over the 2024 interim government?
This changed actually everything, just everything. There is no law in the country. They have like manipulated the judiciary. They have destroyed our police forces. Each and every government mechanism, machinery have been like destroyed in a way that can be served only Dr. Yunus's personal interest. And the speed of these changes is very shocking. Within days, the entire legal landscape around him flipped. His level of conviction disappeared. The Anti-Corruption Commission withdrew his major cases against him. 5 more labor cost cases vanished. Even a food alteration case that is involving Gramin yogurt company, that was also vanished. That was nothing to do with the politics. Like a huge tax burden. It is very much like well circulated now. 666,000 crore taka. 666 crore owned by Gramin Kalyan that has been erased, evaporated overnight. Gramin Bank received 5-year blanket tax exemption covering the rental cost and other stuffs. So immediate after Dr. Yunus took over the country, basically from the day one, he started to beneficiary his own empire, his own entities, his near and dear ones. And if you see the cabinet he formed, it's actually basically his former clients, his relatives, those who were working previously with Gramin entities. He just brought everyone from, in fact, like he created created a caretaker company rather than a multinational company. He is just bringing his old associates from who are at that time positioning in different countries. They bring them back and just give good important position in his cabinet and government without any sort of validation or any sort of verification or any sort of prior qualification.
So one of the criticism of Yunus regime current, the illegal Yunus regime is that it is mired in nepotism and corruption. So what is your observation about it? Because you have been
nepotism is not like an acquisition. Basically, as I said, it's his operating system. His nephew Apurbo Jahangir was suddenly become the deputy press secretary to the government. His long-time aide Lamia Murshid, very much well known nowadays, secured a high-level role tied to SDG and development priorities. He's become the principal coordinator of SDG, that is an senior secretary scale position. Lamia Murshid don't have any prior experience in civil service in any position. Now he became the senior secretary of the government, and in a very vital position like SDG. Okay, beyond this name, there are some others named Ashikur Rahman became the Beja chairman, become the Bangladesh Investment Authority chairman. He was like his old associate in Gramin Telecom Trust. So this is how he actually captured the function, not through flashy purges, but through quiet placement of loyalists in key position. Once that network is in place, one man can effectively guide national policy without ever being visibly present, and that is what Dr. Yunus is doing right now.
So what do you think? What is the reason that the Western nations as well as the Western media, so they have turned a blind eye towards what is happening in Bangladesh?
Because of the world fell in love with the story, the gentle professor, the Nobel Prize, the rural woman. It fit perfectly into the global development narrative. It made everyone feel good. And once a myth becomes comfortable, people stop questioning it. But myths don't erase the court verdicts. Myths don't pay back unpaid taxes. Myths don't explain disappearing conviction and strategic placement of loyalists. The evidence exists. The world has chosen not to look into those closely. That's the thing. And another thing is that, as I said, like the Nobel Peace Prize is become a curse for not only Bangladesh, for many countries. We have very example near beside our neighboring country in Myanmar. Now what is going on in Venezuela. So like being a renowned journalist, that how does Nobel Peace Prize thing work in the in international politics? It's our bad luck. We have that sort of, like, I'm not like blaming everyone. There are obviously credible person securing that Nobel Peace Prize by their own deeds, but like an economist don't have any prior experience in like peace establishment or something like that, getting a peace prize, and then what happening, as I said, started getting into the Bangladesh political arena long back in 2007, and now finally capturing the party. What is the final call? So the entity, the foreign entity, whatever we call deep state, whatever we call a vested interested group, they are creating those people to control the country, a developing country like Bangladesh.
So finally, what would you say to the people who still see, Yunus as a saint-like figure? So your final comments.
So that is very simple. I just say that, like here, before my concluding my final comments, interesting thing is that like when we are talking about Yunus's corruption, his company, allegation about his companies, everything now, and people are now listening and believing those things. Why? People observe how this person has act last 16 long months. Before that, whenever we just talked about, or whenever these incidents or these proofs surfaced, people don't tend to like, as I said, people just fond of the good story, the gentle professor's type of story. But now people have started believing, because like people now see the real face of Dr. Yunus for last 16 months. So I'm just telling the same thing. Judge him by what he is doing with power today, not by the medal he won 2 decades ago. Look at the cases that disappeared. Look at the institution he captured. Look at how quickly a lifetime of liabilities evaporated once he took office. And if he truly believes the purity of his legacy, let him agree to a full international forensic audit of his finances, his institution, and every cases he vanished. Simple as it is. If he feels that like our claim and this document all are wrong, even by signed by him, all are wrong, just he can come forward and recruit an international audit company, renowned company, to look into his finances. I think that's all, and then the world will know the real scenario. Not like it will be not a blame game at the time. So if he's nothing to hide, he has nothing to fear. He need to come forward with clean hand and hand over his finances to an audit company that can dig into that and get a clear verdict about that. Bangladesh deserves a clarity, and at the same time, the world who think himself as a messiah, they also need some sort of clarity also.
Thank you, Polashji, for taking time out from your busy schedule and also, speaking to us so freely, so frankly. And we hope that the eyes of people will, open up after hearing this interview, and the real Yunus, the real face of Yunus regime and the real face of Muhammad Yunus, so they can, do a better judgment. And thank you once again. And we wish and hope that Bangladesh sees better days. Bangladesh sees, thriving democracy, and Bangladesh, gets rid of, nepotism and corruption and whatever things which it is facing, and especially good people can, return to their homeland. So thank you so much once again for speaking to us. So we wish you all the best and stay blessed and stay
Thank
safe.
you. Thank you so much, Dada. Thanks for the opportunity. We'll catch you later also.